All right, what's up, guys? Vivi back with another video. And in today's video, as you can see on the screen here, we're going to have to talk about some Kalgara action today in conjunction with last night's Win-A-Box tournament. Okay, so we have a lot to go over. Let's hop straight into this. First things first, we are going to look at the top 8 deck lists from last night's Win-A-Box tournament hosted over at the VV Theory Discord. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to do. We'll talk about who won and all that good stuff. After that, we are going to go over 3 games of Kalgara from the tournament. Okay, we got some games to go over from the tournament. And then after that, we are going to do an interview with the, we're not going to do it live. It's an interview that I recorded last night live after the tournament with the winner of the tournament. Okay, so that's about it. And then, of course, we'll end out the video like that and we'll wrap things up like that. So I'll have everything time-stamped in the general description for you guys to hop around wherever you want to, and I'll have all relevant links and deck lists and things like that in the comments section below. Okay, so if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please do not hesitate to put those down in the comments section below, or hop on the VV Theory Discord. Link is in the channel description. Now, let's do this, guys. First things first, right up front here, we have to go over the results from last night's tournament. Okay, I'm going to leave my camera up at the top right there. I think it's fine for now. So last night was a 60-player tournament. I don't know the exact number. I think it was like 62 or 64 players, something like that. But guys, in a 60-player tournament, it ended up being 7 rounds because we did do a top cut. And it was online on the sim. These were your top 8 placings right here. We'll talk about first place in just a minute. But this was the top 8. We had 3 purple Luffys, a red Shanks, a red-green Odin, that's right, red ST21 Luffy, a yellow Katakuri, and a yellow Kalgara. And guess what, guys? As you might have guessed from the thumbnail here, Kalgara got first place in absolutely incredible games. Some really, really awesome games, which we'll look at some of those in just a minute. But this is the spread for top 8 here. First place was Kalgara, second place was Purple Luffy, and then third and fourth place were Katakuri and Shanks. The Odin was able to slip into the finals. That was pretty awesome. Or not finals, excuse me, into the top 8. That was really cool. Now, we had a pretty interesting format for this tournament. Let me go ahead and explain that real quick. It ended up being 7 rounds. Here's why. Excuse me. We had the tournament broken down into 4 pods, 4 different groups that were all firing off simultaneously, which was really, it was actually really nice because here's what it allowed allowed to happen, especially for the people who were commentating, like myself, the people who are watching the games and commentating them for anyone who was watching on YouTube. It allowed us to have continuous gameplay throughout the entire stream. It never stopped, because here's what would end up happening. With those 4 groups, whenever one group was done with round 1, they went straight to round 2, even if group B, C, and D, or whatever groups that were left behind, they're finishing up their final rounds now. And then it ends up staggering kind of the way things are. And it ended up being very nice. I was highly skeptical at first, but I have to give a big shout out, guys. Let's, we, not just I, we have to give a big shout out to my tournament organizers, my mods, JT Dragon, Big Bear or Kuma. His name's Big Bear or Kuma in the Discord, and then Beams. Those guys were, really helping things run very smoothly. They did a great job, especially JT Dragon. Okay, and then JT and Big Bear were also the sponsors of this Win-A-Box tournament. This was a totally free-to-enter tournament, and it was played on the sim. So you could have gone into this tournament with $0 in your pocket, not having spent a dime on One Piece, and you could have walked away with a box. Okay, so really cool stuff there. Now, that in mind, we will have more in the future. Before I forget, I do have to mention that right now. I do plan on having more of these in the future, okay? But we'll talk about that later. More details to come, right? But yeah, this was online, and because it was in this group format, here's how we were able to do it. The Swiss was 4 different groups going off, firing off at the same time, and it was basically the top 2 from those across 4 rounds. So after, it was, I think it ended up being 4 groups of like 14 to 16 players each, and once we got to the 2 best players from that after going through 4 rounds, those 2 players would progress into the top 8. Okay, so 2 players from each group. There were 4 groups, so that ends up being 8 players. And those were just best of one, single elimination, or, well, not really single elimination, but those were just best of ones. Then after that, after we got the top 2 from each little group, that ended up being the top 8, and the top 8 was played in a best-of-3 format. Now, at first, we were concerned about time constraints, how long would this take, because it ended up being 7 rounds, and if the final 3 rounds are best-of-3s, that ends up being a pretty long tournament. I think the entirety of the tournament ended up being about 4 hours long, which is not too bad. I was not upset with that. That was really not too bad. All things considered, that was pretty good. For a 60-player tournament, 4 hours for it, and that was with a top 8 best-of-3, a top 8 cut best-of-3. But yeah, that's how things went. So when we got to the top 8, it was best-of-3, and then first place got a box and a playmat, the VV Theory playmat. Second place got, I think, like half a box and a VV Theory playmat. And then third place and fourth place both got, I think it was 8 or 4 packs, something along those lines. And again, not too bad for a completely free-to-enter tournament. So be looking out for more of these in the future, guys. If you're interested in taking place in this, we're trying to make it as easy as possible, and we definitely want to do these again, one of these again in the future. All right, so that's it for that part. I know that was a little bit long-winded, but I really wanted to get the information out there, and I really wanted to give a shout out to my mods, and especially JT, like I said, for putting on this tournament and doing such a great job. It ran very smooth, seamlessly, guys. And as soon as the results came in, boom, next round. That was the nice thing about having the different groups. Having those different groups was like, okay, as the commentator, I was going from game to game to game to game to game. It just never stopped. It was never ending content, and that was a really good thing. I think last night we ended up having a 5-hour stream, so that was a lot of fun, and the VOD is still going to be available to anyone who's a member. Okay. All right, so with that in mind, let's go to the next slide here. Now we're going to break down each deck list just real quick. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these, but we're going to break down the deck list. First place, Kalgara right here. Shout out to Frosty for getting first place. That was the person's alias. That was their username, was Frosty. This is the list they were running. Kalgara was, this was the 7-0 list, right? And it was technically more than that if you think about it, because the best-of-3 format, but basically they went 7-0 in the rounds. So we have Kalgara here. I'm just going to run through this, guys. We won't be able to break down all the cards in this, but if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comment section below. So running 2 Raki. This is a conditional blocker with a 1k counter for Sky Island. Then we're running 3 Shura. They were running 4 Holy, 2 X-Drake, 4 Ohm, 4 Wiper, 2 Gadatsu, 4 Satori, 4 Wiper, the 5 cost, so the 2k counter Wiper and the 5 cost Wiper. Then 4 Mont Blanc Noland, 2 of the 5 cost Rush Ace, 4 of the vanilla Kalgara. That's a very important piece in this deck. It allows you to gain life with the Noland. 2 Elthor, 2 Blaze Slice, 3 The Earth Will Not Lose, and 4 of the Upper Yard Stage Searcher. Notice the cost of the curve of this, how this deck is, right? 6 cost is the highest it goes. Now, I will have an interview at the end of today's video with the pilot of this deck, with Frosty here. That will be at the end, so I'm not going to go into too much detail because we do talk about that at the end of the video. Okay, we will be talking about that at the end of the video. So this is the list. They got first place. It was aggressive, guys. I mean, typically speaking, they wanted to go first. I think they did get first most of the time, and they were just trucking everyone. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Frosty went through like 3 or 4 purple Luffys just to win this tournament. And I mean, some of those were best of 3s. Okay, so it was not even like it was just a pure, like a fluke or whatever. The deck is just extremely aggressive, and there might be, who knows? We'll have to keep an eye on this in the future. You guys tell me what y'all think about this in the comment section below. Okay, next list up. I'm going to go through the rest of these a little bit quicker. We have, this was second place purple here, piloted by Pebbles. Big shout out to them for getting second place with a Don Quixote Pirates version of Purple Luffy. Okay, really good stuff here. For those who don't know how this works, you end up slamming down these, these bigger characters later in the game. And this version of Purple Luffy doesn't really focus on ramp. It just focuses on staying alive, staying healthy, and getting some really big board control with cards like this Rosinante up here, this 8 cost and 9 cost character here, Doflamingo and Linlin. And then it plays out these cards like Senior Pink over here, a 5 cost 6k that can grab cards from your trash. You can grab events back from your trash to get further value from them. Seems good, right? When you can run Gum Gum Giant. So really cool stuff here. This was the second place list. It was really kicking butt. It was being piloted very well. I really like the Gamma Knife in there for utility, the God Thread for ramping and KOing, the Nora Beam or Slow Beam Sword for tapping down characters. It has tons of defensive capabilities. Really good stuff here. Awesome list. Next up, this is Caden's list. This is we're going to go through the 3 Purple Luffy lists real quick that were in the top 8. This one's a much more traditional version of Purple Luffy that was running basically the Straw Hat package. Okay, so pretty much nothing really crazy, nothing too new here. Pretty straightforward. And I think the next list here by Grimm, this one is the same idea, a very straightforward Straw Hat version of Purple Luffy. Again, I love the Gamma Knife. The Gamma Knife is something that I really recommend everyone mess around with. I think, excuse me, I think it can really help out your win rate, potentially. Okay, next up we got the Red-Green Odin list here. We will zoom in just a little bit. This is the Red-Green Odin list. This was a surprise, and I have to say I did watch this, you know, some of the games with this leader in the tournament, and it was doing pretty well. It was doing very well. And you know, this is a leader that a lot of people really love, but they wish he was performing a little better. Well, hey, maybe give this version a try. It did very well. I am going to run through this list real quick. So it's running 3 Otama, 4 Momonosuke. It's running 4 of the green Otama that searches and is a 2K counter. It's running 4 of the Izo 2K counter, 4 of Cat Viper, the 3-cost blocker, 4 Kazuki Hiyori, 4 of the 4-cost Yamato, 3 of the 5-cost Yamato, the 2K counter red one, 2 of the new 5-cost Rush Luffy. It's running 4 Izo, the 5-cost Izo, 2 of, it's called Mountain God. This is it's just a 5-cost 7K vanilla. It's running 4 Denjiro, 1 7-cost Newgate. I like that. Very spicy there. It's got 2 Hody Jones, 2 of the 8-cost Kazuki Odin, 2 of whoever wins this war becomes justice, and 3 you can be my samurai. Very spicy list here. Definitely give this a try sometime. Big shout out to Jay Flyleaf for this one. Okay, next up we have Katakuri here by Blanket Thief. I think this was the 3rd place list. I think this went against Katakuri in the you know, what would you call it, the fight for 3rd and 4th place. So this was the Katakuri list. Pretty straightforward. It's running the 4 Pudding Searchers. It does have the 4 Parasparrows. You just want to slam down the 7 lins and the 10 lins and just go to town like that. It has lots of good 2K counter support in Beige, in Flampe, and the new Pudding from ST19, or excuse me, ST20. It's got Satori in there as well. It's got plenty of triggers to help with the 5-cost Nami to kind of KO whatever you want to. And notice, you know, honestly, for the most part, this deck is just straight triggers, and then it has, like, you know, Big Mom Pirates, or, excuse me, Charlotte Linlin, and then Searchers and the 2K counter, and then Gadatsu, everything else. So let me say it like this. Other than the 2 Flampes, the 4 Searcher Puddings, the 3 Gadatsus, and then the 8 Linlins that you're searching for, everything else is a trigger. Seems good. Very straightforward list here. Big shout out to Blanket Thief for piloting this very well, making it into the top 4, if I'm not mistaken. Really good stuff here. Very cool. Very basic list, but a very solid list. And I know my camera's kind of in the way. Hopefully y'all were able to see that. This is a there are 4 beige. Could y'all see for the other ones over here? Let me just make sure y'all could see everything. Okay, yeah, y'all could see all the other ones just fine, I believe. Okay. So then this was the Katakuri list. Then we have, this is the ST21 list, guys. So Red, Luffy, ST21 here. I'm not going to run through this entire list. It's a pretty straightforward list for just the red Straw Hat package. It is running 1 Goldie Roger and 1 Blocker Chopper and even 1 Rad Beam. So it's pretty spicy here. This was by KCB. Very aggressive. It's like, hey, let's not even make this a long game. Let's just say, I'm going to attack real fast, and if you can survive, then I guess you can win, right? That's just how it goes. If not, then he wins. It's one of those decks where it's like, okay, we're just going to attack fast, I'm going to attack hard, and I'm either going to win real fast or I'm going to lose real fast. So you got to love that. Having the Dragons in here, having the Luffys in here, having the Zoro. Notice they are running the 4-cost 5K ST21 Zoro in conjunction with Wapol. So they're going to be, if that card gets KO'd, no problem. I'll just slam down a Wapol. Good luck dealing with that thing. It's a 6-cost 6K. It has a 1K counter. Really nice stuff here. This is actually really cool. I really love to see this. Okay, got the Sanjis over there, and yeah, very straightforward list here, but hey, that's where you can use your pilot skill. That's where you can show people how good your fundamentals are and just win games. Very straightforward. I also do like the fact that they're running the 7-cost Beckman for some removal. I would even like to see maybe a few more Beckmans in this list, but that's just me. That's just a personal preference thing. Okay, and I think we have one more list here by Jimbo. This was, did I say who did this one? This was by KCB. Then we have one more list here by Jimbo. This is a red Shanks list that very straightforward. This is kind of the more, I don't know. I think people are trying to figure out how to build Shanks for the most part right now. Like, there's more of the control version and more the aggro version. This one's very much a hybrid, and I think I like this one the most. You have your aggro in the form of Luffy, Dragon, even 2 Gold D Rogers down there, guys. 3 of the 10 cost Rush Shanks. But then you also have plenty of control in here with the Rayleigh and the Beckman and the Lucky Roo. So I'm a big fan of this. It's even running Yasop. I'm actually a very big fan of this list. And again, or not again, one thing I should mention is I don't know if these guys made all their own lists or if they copied them offline or what. But hey, very solid list here. And hey, it made it into the top 8 of a 60-player tournament. And we know Shanks is already doing very well to begin with, right? We know Shanks is doing just fine. But yeah, good stuff here. Tell me what y'all thought about these lists in the comments section below. I do think that's it for the deck list. Yeah, so that was the final one there. Okay, so now that's all of the deck lists. If there's any questions about that, please say something in the comments section below. But now we're going to hop over to some games, not quite on the sim, but from last night's tournament, from last night's actual, you know, from you know, it's not live, but we recorded it live. How do I say that? Hang on. There we go. So we did this live last night. Y'all see how this thing is doing? I mean, whenever I move up, it goes past where I want it. Oh, whatever. Okay, good enough. So we got 3 games to go over of Kalgara. We got this first game here is going to be Kalgara versus Vegapunk. Okay, and like I said, we did this live last night for the tournament. It was me and my buddy Joey from Heart Pirates TCG. We were having a good time on here, checking out all these crazy different decks that were on here. It was a really good time. Okay, volume is off, speed is on 2x, and here we go. All right, so first game here, Kalgara is going to get to go first, right? Kalgara is going first. No turn 1 play. There is no turn 1 play in this deck that I'm aware of, and it looks like they're going to... So Vegapunk on their turn did put a Lilith to the top of their deck, and they chose not to attack in. They're practicing some restraint here because they don't want to give them the Lilith. Honestly, I think I probably still would. I think I would still develop this turn the way I normally would and just attack in aggressively. All right, they're going to play out the stage here. Now, notice this, guys. I do have, because of the format, I didn't want people to be able to see the hand. Like, I didn't want people to try to stream snipe or cheat or anything like that. So the hand is blocked out, and at the top right where the card would normally be displayed, that is also blocked out so that there couldn't be any kind of stream sniping or anything like that. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be as fair as possible because this was a tournament with a box on the line. Okay, now this was not one of the top 8 matches, but still, you got to be careful there. Okay, so they were able to play out excuse me. So the Vegapunk there used their leader effect to play out a Monkey D. Luffy for 1 and KO the Wiper there to get some board control back. They're going to swing in with Lilith. The Kalgara is going to take it, playing out Ashura, doing a top 5 search. Looks like they grabbed the 1-cost blocker there, coming in for 8 more, and here we go. And then playing out Frankie for the turn. Now, Vegapunk, I like going very aggressive here for Vegapunk. So I get why they did that play now with the 1-cost, you know, playing out the Luffy for 1. But at the same time, I don't know if that was the right call. I don't know if Wiper's a big enough threat to deal with or to have to worry about even. But who knows? You know, we don't know the hands of either player right now. All right, so going to play out the, going to swing in for 6 with the Kalgara effect, cheating out a 6-cost 8k body vanilla Kalgara, and then playing out the Noland after that to gain a life right back that you lost with the leader's effect. It ends up being a card draw cycle, basically from life. They're going to swing 7 into 5 into the dog here. We're going to use the Earth Will Not Lose to go plus 3,000 and saving Holy, but then they attack in for 8 and get rid of it, and then they were able to KO the Noland with the 5-cost Nami. They attack in. We take the hit here. Getting a Satori trigger from life seems good. Okay, plenty of trigger support in this deck. not like a ton of trigger support, but there's plenty in here, like the Satori, like the Shura, and even like, you know, triggers from events and things like that as well. Okay, so there were 2 major options here for the Kalgara. It was go for board or go for broke, right? Go for the board or go for life. And if you go for life, you're going to give them access to trigger bodies. So I do really love how they're dealing with this. They're going for the board. They're going to swing for 7. Are they going to cheat a character out? They are not. But let's see what they play out for 5. It's an Ohm, and they search up a Holy and play out the Holy. Okay, so really good stuff here. Look at this board. As long as there's not some kind of way for Kalgara to lose on this turn, they're going to start pulling away with this game. Okay, wow, swinging in for 9. They had 1 Dawn active. Earth Will Not Lose, plus 2k, gets out of the 9k, gets to 10. And let's see what Vegapunk decides to do here. They're going to play out a Nami for 5, KOing the Satori. And now it's odd they didn't get rid of the Ohm there. Okay, but that's because they're going to play out another Nami. and trash a card here to get rid of the Ohm. I can pretty much guarantee. Okay, I was going to say that would have been crazy if they didn't do that, but that is what they did. Very well played. Love seeing Vegapunk in action, by the way. I do love seeing all this yellow in action, especially after talking about it, recently. I've kind of mentioned how yellow's really struggling right now. Okay, so now Kalgara is going to be faced with the question, do I attack in here or do I not? They play out the Wiper. I think they just got rid of the stage to do a search. Seems good. And here we go. Going to swing in for 7. Okay, they got a I Quasar help. They're going to be able to pull out a 5-cost character from their trash now. That 1-cost event is I Quasar help. It allows them to pull out a 5-cost or lower Egghead character from their trash, putting it into play. They get a Nami back, and now they're going to be able to remove that Wiper from the board. Seems good. Going to swing in for 6 here, not use the leader effect, leave 2 Dawn as active, and they're just going to wish for the best here. Now, again, unfortunately, we don't know what is in the hand of the Kalgara, because we had to block that out for, so that there couldn't be any cheating or anything like that, any kind of stream sniping. So here we go. They're going to swing in for 8 here. Okay, 8 is an odd number. So guys, or excuse me, it's actually an even number. But no, it's an odd number to swing with, because think of it like this, guys. If you swing for 7, it ends up being a 2-card investment. Now, they take the first hit here. That was interesting. And it looks like they just searched up. Hang on. They were able to search up a El Thor with that. Okay, so they get the Shura up, pause. I know you can barely see it, but I did leave the searches open because people can see the searches. You have to reveal what's well, you don't have to reveal the entirety of the search. That was a little bit unfortunate, but you do have to reveal what card is chosen by the search, right? At least most of the times. There's a few cards that might get around that. But here we go. Going to play out the Shura here, and they're going to grab an El Thor with 1 Dawn active. Seems good. Okay, so now, what are they going to swing in for? They can swing in for 4 plus 2 is 6, 5, 11. And then the Kalgara might be able to get out of that. But if the Kalgara survives this turn, this game is pretty much over. And we know they can get out of 4,000 powers worth of an attack, right? Because they just got El Thor from that search from the Shura trigger. Okay. Here we go. Man, these triggers this game have been crazy. It was double Shura trigger and a Satori out of the 5 life, right? Seems good. We'll take it. We'll take it every time. Okay, so they're going to swing for 7. Going to give him a 2K, 1K. And now the Vegapunk has to know, wait a minute, I know they have an El Thor. There is no question mark, right? There is no question here on whether they have it or not. And I believe that the Vegapunk already used their effect here to KO the Nami. And I think that was where they kind of went wrong. And here we go. No chances here. 18 into 5. They're going to +3 plus a bunch, but they could not quite get out of that. Great game to both players. The Vegapunk got a little bit too aggressive there. And let's go back just a little bit before we move on to the next game here. Notice what they did. There was a 1-cost Rocky that was played out at the end of turn by the Kalgara. Now watch what happens here. Okay, they play out the Rocky, and watch what happens. The Vegapunk is going to pay 1, and oh, they played out a Luffy to KO the Rocky. I don't think that was necessary. I actually think this Vegapunk was in a prime position to win this game, to be honest. Even with all the trigger luck that we were able to get as Kalgara, I think the Vegapunk got a little too aggressive here. Let's attack into the board. Let's attack into life after that and go from there. Gain a life, play out blockers, sit on events, and go from there. But hey, it is what it is. Great game to both players. That was a really fun game to watch there. All right, next game is going to be against Red Shanks, and that one's going to be at the 3 hour and 32 minute mark. Let me go to that real quick. I wrote it down over on the side here, and it's right here. Okay. All right. So this would now we're getting into the top 8 games, guys. We're getting into the top 8 games, and Kalgara lost the first round. But that's okay. Now we got the, they lost the first game, excuse me, and now they're going into the second game in a best of 3. Okay, now this is against Shanks here. We'll see what happens. I think this was in the top 4. I believe this was in the top 4 to go into the finals. Okay, so here we go. Kalgara going into Shanks. Kalgara going first. I think they do want to go first going into Shanks here, so they can always swing 6 with their leader, and then they're kind of on like a pseudo-even curve to play out Shura, to play out Ohm, to do whatever they have to do, right? So here we go. We're going to swing in for 6 here into the Shanks player. Got to adjust my camera real quick. Looks like I'm a little bit off here. There we go. Good enough. Okay, they're going to play out Lucky Roo. That's pretty annoying, I'm not going to lie. Looks like we're going to swing for 6, playing out the Wiper. Okay, let's see if he wants to use this this Lucky Roo here to get rid of the Shura. Probably not a good call. Probably not a good idea here, but we did get a 2K counter from the the Shanks player last turn, and now they're going to take this 6k hit. 6k is a very annoying number for Shanks to deal with. It's kind of like the perfect number. Like, yes, you can get into like the 8k range if you're just, you know, trying to get hits through or get like double 2 cards out of hand. But still, 6k is just annoying enough to get through most attacks for Shanks in the early game where they're giving you cards from hand that they don't want to give you. Like, you know, the 1k counter stuff in Shanks is really good. Like Lucky Roo, like Ben Beckman, and so on. So they're going to swing in for 6 here. We're actually going to take, the Kalgara is going to take that here. And let's see what they choose to do next. They're going to play out the upper yard to get some searching done. And here we go. Going to swing in for 6. I think you do have to use Lucky Roo here, guys. I'm going to be honest. I think you do have to use Lucky Roo, and you KO the Holy here. The Holy. Okay, they're going to block there. They get rid of the Holy. Now they're going to swing in for 6 here. Playing out the Kalgara seems really good. And this one you have to get out of, and now you can block this one with the Lucky Roo and get rid of the Ohm. Very well played there. Very nice. Okay, that was well played by both players. The sequencing, perfect, immaculate sequencing there because they followed up with the Nolan to gain a life. Their board is massive, guys. Look at Kalgara's board. I know the quality is not great, guys, but you know, I have it up to 1080. That's as high as I can get it. It really had to do with like streaming. We're like streaming what was streamed, right? This is like streamer inception right here. But hey, hear me out. You know, this is the best quality we can get. They had a 6k, 7k, 8k on the board. Beckman removed the 6k Nolan there, but here we go. They're smashing in, and here comes Ace. Here comes a 5-cost 7k Ace to come in super aggressive here, and let's see what they choose to do. They leader effect and 2k counter out of that. Okay, but I will say this, the Shanks is running out of cards. Swing in for 5. They've already used their leader effect. They have to give us a life or they have to give us a card from hand. They gave us a life for 5k. Seems good. Play out the Ohm, replacing the Shura, playing out the Holy. This board is filthy, guys. This board is absolutely filthy. Red Shanks, I think their best bet in this situation, and I don't know what is in their hand, obviously. I think the best bet for the Shanks player in this current position, this current board state, is actually just to drop down a 10-cost 12k Rush Shanks that gives minus 1,000 to the board. And I still don't know if they survive. I still don't know if they survive next turn. Maybe a Rayleigh would be another really good play here, because you could get rid of the Ohm, you could maybe attack into the Wiper or the Ace, or do something like that. This is a terrible position to be in, I have to say, guys. But yeah, maybe I will say that I think I do still think that the 10-cost 12k Rush Shanks is the best option here. But hear me out. Yeah, and they do end up playing that. Very nice. I was going to say, I don't remember if they do it or not. But here's the thing. You can go 7 into 6 and then 5 into face. You can't even go into anything except one character with the Beckman. And of course, the 10 cost 12k. That card's going to go away no matter what it was. And then 7 into 6 here. 2k counter out. The next one's going into face. They're going to take it. No trigger. And right here, guys, it is time to go game. Kalgara is saying, hey, game, set, match. We're going in here for 7s all day, every day. 7, 7, 7, 7. Let's see if they can get out of this. Okay. And that was leader effect to get the Ohm. Actually, no, they did not use leader effect. They did use leader effect on the first attack. Coming in for 8 here, they're saying, hey, you either got it or you don't. Because they're not going to survive next turn. Incredible game. Look what was in their hand. They were bricked. Now, I mean, I say they were bricked, but remember, guys, they just went through a ton of counter power surviving what they did and getting through, getting to this point in the game. So it wasn't just pure bricks in hand for no reason. They were going through tons of counter power just to get to this point. Terrible spot to be in for the Shanks here. Kalgara, kind of decent into Shanks. I don't know. I guess maybe it depends what version of Shanks you're going against, like a more aggro version versus more control version. Whatever the case is, that was an awesome game. And look what the top card was, guys. Look what the top card was in the Shanks deck there. But then again, there was no way to get through. Next turn, if Shanks survived here, they could have just slammed down a dragon and gone to town like that, and that would probably been the most effective attacks there. Would have just been 7, 9, 9, 12, and that's a wrap. In fact, I think it might have been like 7, 9, 9, 12. I think it's what it would have been, and there was no way Kalgara was surviving. Awesome game there. We got one more to go over. Okay, this was at the 4 hour and 7 minute mark. This was in the finals. Okay, 4 hours 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Let me find that real quick. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is the last game that we're going to be going over today. This was in the finals, just one of the games in a best of 3, Kalgara versus Purple Luffy. And here we go. Of course, volume is off, speed is on 2x, and This is the Don Quixote version of Purple Luffy. So they don't care about taking life. They can. They will take life when they need to ramp Dawn, but they don't have to. Kalgara swing in for 6 here. Or excuse me, they were able to swing in for 5 because they did double Searcher here with Shura and the stage, and they just 1k counter out of it, and here we go. They do ramp up a Dawn to stay aggressive here, but hey, Kalgara wants to take life, guys. Kalgara actually wants to take life to get down to 2 life where all their stuff gets turned on. Okay, so here we go, swinging 6 into 5 here. Let's see what happens. It's probably not a great idea to take this, but they might not have a better decision. They're going to 2k counter out there with the Giola, and now they're going to play out. Did y'all see what happened? Pause. This is the explosivity of this deck. So that turn, that was a 5 Dawn turn. Understand what just happened there. Kalgara swung for 6 with their leader effects and played out a Wiper, gaining, taking a life card from, taking a card from life and adding it to their hand, and they did a 4 Dawn follow-up turn here, a 4 Dawn follow-up with Ohm and playing out Holy. They went from having basically no cards on the board, just a 2-cost 3k Shura, or a 2-cost 2k Shura, whatever it is, into having a 5-cost, 4-cost, 3-cost in one turn. That is they went from, on a 5 Dawn turn, they just played out 12 Dawns worth of characters. So, seems good. Okay, sorry about that. I had to pause and explain that for those who don't realize what just happened there. Okay, so they're going to swing in for 5, 1k counter out. I do like that. There's no reason to take life too aggressively here. Going down to 2 life is fine, but we can actually do that with our leader effect. With our leader effect, just fine here. Okay, going to swing for 5. Here we go. They're going to go ahead and take that. Now watch the sequencing, guys. They didn't swing with the Ohm yet because they're going to take their own life here to buff the Ohm plus 1,000 because he has, if you have 2 or less life cards, he gets plus 1,000 power. Okay, swing for 6, swing for 6, swing for 7. So that was a 5, 6, 6, 7 there. They played out a Gadatsu to remove a very relevant body there. In fact, I think, guys, I'm sorry, I do have to back up a little bit. What did they remove? The Gadatsu? They removed a 4-cost. They removed a 4-cost Mr. 2, Boncray Bentham. With that Gadatsu, seems good. Then they swung out for 5, 6, 6, 7, like we said, and then playing out a Wiper to finish the turn off with. Well, actually, they played out the Wiper first. I think they should have waited on that, but not a big deal. Now here we go. This board, guys. What more can I say? They flood the board so aggressively. It's just awesome to watch. It's awesome to see. Okay, so right now, the ball is in the Purple Luffy's court now. Let's see what they choose to do with this board state. It's not looking pretty. I'm just going to be honest, guys. It's not looking pretty. Let's see what happens here for Purple Luffy. They're on a 9 Dawn turn. So a 9-cost Linlin is probably the best case. Okay, and they're swinging for 5. That does kind of tell me they're probably going to do that. And we're going to counter out. We're going to save as many cards as we can here as the Purple Luffy player. Excuse me. Now, they're going to use the 1-cost 3k here to get out of this just to save. Okay, whoops. Now, this turn right here, whoopsie daisy. Did you guys see what just happened there? They used the 1-cost event, but look who they buffed, guys. Watch this. They swing for 7. Kalgara uses the 1-cost event here, and look who they buffed. They accidentally buffed the Ohm. I don't know if you guys can see that very well with the quality, but they accidentally buffed the Ohm. That was not a misplay. That was a misclick. They meant to click on the Holy, or the Holy, or Holly, Holy, whatever the dog's name is. They meant to give the dog plus 3,000, but they accidentally clicked on the Ohm. That was a total misclick, not a misplay. And there's a big difference, right? That was just a whoopsie daisy. I needed to undo that. I meant to click on this other target. So they end up losing the dog and trashing a card for nothing. It was a total accident. But hey, let's see what happens here. It happens. They're going to swing from 9 into 6 here. 2k, 2k. We're saving as much of the board, no matter what, as much as we can. And now they have a 9 Dawn follow-up. Are they going to choose to gain a life here with 9 Lin? They do choose to do that. Okay, going to push the Ohm into life, and that was actually a very good play there, pushing it into life, because now they're at 3 life. This would mess up their calculations, potentially, with 5-cost Ace, if they needed that, because you have to swing. Okay, and here we go. Guys, I'm just yapping. Who cares about 5-cost Ace? It's 11 to 5. Game over. No Dawn active. GG. Guys, the deck is so aggressive. They said, you know what? I'm swinging 7, 7, 7, and I'm going to see what you do from there. And from there, I might choose to gain a life. I might choose to gain a blocker. I might choose to do whatever. It depends on what is in the Kalgara's hand. But even with that slight mess up, that slight hiccup there, they were still able to pull it off. And that was a hyper aggressive turn there from the Kalgara. Swinging 7, 7, 7, 11. Seems good. How awesome is this deck, guys? How fun was that? And of course, we were going crazy in the in the chat and everything. We were going crazy in the stream when this was happening, because after that misclick, I was saying, oh no, guys, not like this. How could this happen? It was a total accident. Where's the undo button? We need an undo button, and it didn't even matter. It was 7, 7, 7, 11, GG. It's over. Good game. That was an awesome, awesome game there. Now, okay, to finish off this video, guys, we are now going to cut. Well, we're going to cut to the interview now, and then I'll have an outro at the very end after all that. So, okay, now let's go ahead and hop over to that interview. Yeah, what's up, Frosty?
Not much. How about you?
Not much. They're asking me to interview you. Do you have time for an interview real quick?
Yeah, I do.
Dude, that is awesome. So real quick, all right, first things first, what made you decide, you know what, I'm bringing Kalgara to a win-a-box tournament? Like, what was your decision behind that?
I just don't like any of the current meta decks, I guess. Mostly, like, I like Shanks' playstyle, but I can't get over the fact that it's just, like, better red ace, and I'm a big red ace guy as well.
That's
so
fair.
I kind of don't play Shanks.
That's fair.
And so I just ran out Kalgara because he's probably top 3 favorite decks.
And I've been saying this for a while, that I think Enel should build this exact package you have, with a few exceptions, right? Like, you wouldn't need the vanilla Kalgara, you wouldn't need the Noland, but other than that, you just build them like this aggressive low to the ground, Sky Island package.
Yeah. Funnily enough, actually, I would be playing Enel, but I figured that, because Enel is one of my favorite characters in One Piece.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I figured that if I'm playing low to the ground Skyland aggro, I may as well just play Kalgara, and Kalgara is also goated in the show, so
and
works out.
That's fair. Yeah, hey, that's completely legit. Now, so Kalgara, and what were your matchups? Can you run your matchups through for us real quick?
If I can remember, yeah.
Yeah, if you can remember them all, that's fair.
What was it? Round 1 was Uta. Green Uta.
Green Uta. Okay, round 1, Green Uta.
Round 2 was Lucci.
Okay. Oh, wow, yeah. I think that was the first game we watched of yours, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Can't remember. Yeah, I think we hopped into one of... no, that was against Vegapunk. Never mind. Sorry, that was a whole nother game. Good.
Round 3 was Pluffy.
Okay.
Round 4 was the Vegapunk, which I'm not sure I should have won.
That was the game. I knew we watched one game of you. Yeah, that's... Okay, that was the game. So against Vegapunk. Very nice.
And then that puts us into the top 8 listings, which was round 1 Pluffy.
Yep.
Both of those Pluffys were Straw Hats.
Yeah.
And then the Shanks, and then
another
a Rosinante Pluffy, yeah.
Gotcha. So you went against 3 purple Luffys, though. You went against the Shanks. You went against a Lucci. I mean, honestly, the deck kind of slaps, wouldn't you say, bro?
Yeah.
It's cracked. It's funny when I first I want to see what I rated this leader when I first put it out for the what's it called, the actual, when I did the tier list. And let me see, I had this leader at, like, I think B tier. Let me I gotta bring that up real quick while we're talking. Where would you put this leader if you had to do a tier list right now? Where would you actually put this leader?
I think I don't really know, like, S, A, B tier sort of things, but if, like, tier 0 is best decks in the format, yeah, I would put him maybe tier 1, tier 1.5.
Okay. Yeah, so that's right. So this last time that I did it, I didn't even do a tier list either. I actually did a top 50 list. I was trying something new, you know what I mean? Because everyone does, like, the 0 tier, A tier, B tier, whatever. And, like, I tried to do a top 50 list, and I had him in the top 30. So I actually had him at, like, number 26, 27, which is not bad, right? These are still, like, the top decks in the format. But, man, after watching today, I might have to move him up on the list, because, I mean, this was really interesting, seeing you pilot it. And one more thing I want to mention before I forget: were you trying to go first every game, or did you prefer going second?
I do like going first.
Yeah.
Going second isn't bad. As Kalgara, I don't think Kalgara has a bad curve.
Sure.
I think that first is just better.
just being able to put the aggression on and saying, all right, I'm going to drop down my 5-cost 7K, and you're going to have to do something about it.
That, but also you get to search more. So turn 1, you can do the upper yard, and then turn 2, you can Shura and swing 6,
And
and then you
swing.
can start developing bodies.
Yeah.
Whereas going second is you can only play 1 searcher, and then just developing Ohm right away.
I gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because like whenever I was doing my testing with Kalgara, I used to absolutely love going second because it was like turn 1 Shura into turn 2 Ohm plus Holy into turn, hopefully get Holy, right? You don't always hit it. And then turn 3, it was like, okay, I'm on 6 Dawn. So it's like 1 Dawn on leader, swing in, cheat out the Kalgara, play out the Nolan, and just start ripping face. You know what I mean? But watching you play, I was like, maybe I should start going first.
Yeah, I mean, I also just have a very aggressive play style, and so I like just hammering faced as hard as possible and as soon as possible.
And that's fair. And then, like, I like how you kept taking life aggressively because that turns on, like, your entire deck, right? I mean, your Porgas Ace, your 4-cost Ohm, everything's just getting... Even the... is Blaze Slice something like that as well? At 2 life or 1 life or something?
Yeah, it's opponent at 2 life, I believe.
Is it? Okay, yeah, here it is. Up to 1 of your leader or character cards gains plus 2,000 power to this turn. Then if your opponent has 2 or less... Okay, so that one's a little bit different, but still, that goes in line with El Thor, right? So that's fine as well. Yeah, really good stuff there. So okay, so what would you say is the toughest matchup for this deck that you come across?
Bonnie, easily.
Green Bonnie.
You get stonewalled by Kid so hard.
Mm-hmm.
At least in my experience.
No, I agree. And and now that Raigo's gone, because Raigo would have been searchable in this deck, right? And now that now that Raigo's gone, it's like, okay, crap. I don't actually have an answer other than just swing 8s across the board or whatever it might be. And that is a feels bad. Hopefully they address that soon. I'm okay. I was okay with them taking away Raigo, but at least give us something to replace it that's more in line with your your direction you want to go with the game. And hopefully they get it to us soon.
I was actually thinking of running the 8-cost Cotted Curry as a tech for the Kid.
I like
but
that.
I feel like that would just halt the aggression that the deck wants to pump out and might hurt the other matchups.
It definitely changes everything because when you submitted this deck list on where it's got the Kardi Kaizoku thing in the background, like it shows at the bottom like your cost, your type, and your counters and stuff like that. And it's like your deck ends at 6 cost. Like that's it, and I kind of liked that. It's like, okay, I never have a dead play turn 2, 3, and 4. It's just not going to happen realistically. So it's like I actually really love that. And then but I will say maybe there is room for like 1 or 2 Kalgaras in there, like you're saying. But will that slow the deck down too much? I don't know.
Neither do I. I haven't really tested it all much.
That's the tough one. Yeah, and I don't have an answer for that either because I'm looking at this. Honestly, the only flexible spot I feel like in this entire deck is Ace. Now, let me ask you this. Someone did ask in the comment section. They said, hey, excuse me, they said, I don't have any Aces. Is there like a decent replacement for it? And how important is Ace to the deck? What would your response be to that question?
I would say Ace is definitely an important piece to the deck. I've won too many games with him, and I haven't lost very many games because of him being a brick in my hand.
Right.
But if you do need to be on a budget, I think just the 7-cost Enel is probably the closest thing you can get. Or the Supernova Zoro that gets rushed if you have less life than your opponent.
The 3-cost 5K rusher. Yeah. I like the Enel that you just said there. It does make the curve of this deck into like 1 more. 6 being the tallest, that'd put at 7. But honestly, that's a nice rush card. It has insurance. They can't really remove it easily, and I really like that. Hopefully you guys heard that, man. Whoever was asking, if you can't afford the Aces or if you can't get your hands on them, the 7-cost Enel is way easier to get your hand on. Now, okay, I see someone asking right down here. EB02 is coming out. 10-cost Enel's coming out. What are your thoughts on that card in Kalgara? Is it too slow, or is there going to be room for it?
I think it's bait. I don't want a game to get to 10 Dawn.
Yeah.
I want to just end the game at like 1. If everyone gets like 1 turn on 10 Dawn, that's fine. But anything past that, I feel like I start losing steam because I just don't have the card advantage for my life anymore to save my board.
Right, and it's funny, maybe this is just a yellow thing, right, because I have the same problem with red-yellow Sabo, right, where it's like, I just want to build low to the ground, because I would actually rather develop 2 bodies as opposed to just playing 1 big one. And it's like,
right, yeah.
yeah, and that's what this deck does. This deck just does that in spades. It develops like 2, if not 3 bodies with leader effect. You know, you're just going, just dropping all these bodies down. It's like, well, would you rather drop 3 bodies that end up being like 15k power altogether, or would you rather drop down 1 body that's 12k, you know, or 11k really, but let's just call it 12k, you know, the 1 attack. Now, I mean, gaining a life is a big deal, right? But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, but also, like for that, it's just if you do on the 10 Dawn turn, just slamming down 2 Nolans is
insane.
2 life.
Yeah.
Or it's like slamming down Nolan and Ace, heal and swing 7 is just, I think, better in the end. It might be better. That might be the card that you use to get around the kid.
Oh, true. But, sure. But I mean, like you were saying, I think I would actually rather just have the 8 cost Katakuri and have 2 Dawn to play with for the turn to use for events or whatever. So it is a really tough decision. Good.
Yeah, that's the other thing is playing the Enel completely shuts off Elthor's and the Earth will not lose.
Yeah, so you lose, and even Blaze Slice, right? Because you can even use that defensively to tap down 4 cost, which is insane, and plus 1k for the turn. You know, it's like, yeah, you're 100% right, and that's where like, it's like I love the idea of 10 cost Enel, but I think he'll be better off for running this package in Enel. You know what I mean? In the leader Enel. There it becomes it makes more sense, right? But because in there you would even probably run, you know, instead of, and what I was thinking was, okay, in that list, instead of the 4 Kalgaras, maybe you run 4 of the 10 cost Enels, and instead of the Mont Blanc Noland, maybe you actually just run like 4. You're the one who should disappear there. You know what I mean? Because you don't need that whole combo.
Right. Yeah.
Could be interesting. Well, man, that was awesome. You know, I was rooting for you the entire time, dude.
Thank you.
I've been saying it, man. I'm sure you, I don't know how many of my videos you watch, but I don't know if you saw the video that I put out on Enel showing off this list. And I was like, guys, there's something here. I'm telling you, there's something here. You know, and hey, you just proved it.
Yeah, guilty. I'm a big fan. I watch almost all your videos. So.
Hey, love to hear that, man. Look at that, man. Love to hear that. What about, so going forward, what are your thoughts going forward? Have you gone to any big tournaments in the past, or do you plan on going to any moving, you know, in the future?
I plan to in the future. I haven't. Every time sign up for regionals rolls around, I always forget because it's always around like the holidays.
Right. And they fill up so fast.
Yeah, and they just go way over my head. I'm like, oh well, I guess next year is gonna be it.
Exactly.
But I think the biggest ones I've done were Wimmy. Do you know Wimmy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Her tournaments, her server tournaments, I think are the largest things I've done outside of this.
Yeah, Wimmy. The last time I knew anything about that was with Joey from Heart Pirates TCG. We did a tournament a long time ago, probably a year ago, and she was one of the. I think she was playing Blue Dofi back then, and it was not. And it was not when Blue Dofi was doing good. You know what I mean? It was back when Blue Dofi was kind of struggling, and she made it. She was making it work, man. So okay, so she does tournaments as well like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know a lot of YouTubers. I kind of stick to my own. I'm like this old hermit, man. I'm this old man hermit. Yeah, I just kind of stick to my own. But that's I'll have to check that out, man. I'll have to see what's going on there because these are just fun, right? They're just a good time.
Yeah, yeah. They aren't free. But they're like $5. So it's like it's not anything crazy.
And how big do those tournaments usually get?
About 6. They're capped at 64. She doesn't want to run anything more than that. She doesn't think her server could handle that.
It's also perfect, man. 60, like we were actually talking about that right before the tournament started today. I had to like call in all the mods, and I was like, "Hey, how are we going to do this?" Because he had to like set up in groups and stuff like that. I was so confused, and they ended up breaking it down. It all went very, very smooth, you know, all things considered. Big shout out to JT and Bear for running things perfectly, and Beams helping out, of course. But, you know, I was like, how are we going to do this? And why don't we just cap at 64? That was something I was thinking, because that's like your perfect, because even if you're doing groups, right, that's 4 groups of 16, I believe, right? So it ends up being perfect like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, man, I will let you go. I know you're probably a little bit tired. You've been, you know, grinding games for about 6 hours right now, right? I think
has it been that long?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, hang on, 4 hours. 4. I can't even do math. So we started at 6 p.m. Eastern, and now it's 10 p.m. Eastern. I will let you get food or whatever you got to do. Congratulations again, Frosty. I will probably be featuring, you know, some of this stuff in tomorrow's video, so be looking forward to that, man. Good stuff.
Alrighty.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Well, you too. Thank you.
Later. All right, guys, that about wraps it up. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you to everybody who supports the channel, whether you're liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, viewing, using the TCG Player affiliate link, donating through Patreon or PayPal, Playmat supporters, YouTube members, Discord community, whatever it is. I really appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you guys so much. And that does it, guys. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please don't hesitate to put that down in the comment section below. And yeah, until next time, guys, peace.